I just wanted to start out and remind Mom and Dad a little bit about 1963. Biggest news in 1963. Anybody know the biggest news story in 1963 was the assassination of President Kennedy, obviously. Few interesting things. AT&T introduced the touch-tone phone in 1963. And I'm sure my mom probably had one of those and was on it real quick. The average cost of a new house was $12,650. The average income per year was $5,807. Gas per gallon was 29 cents. Then the cost of a new car was averaged about $3,233.
Still like that?
And a loaf of bread was 22 cents. So, September 15th, days in history. A few interesting ones that I thought, well, might match up a little bit to the September 15th marriage. William Huskisson was the first person to be run over by a railroad train. The Lone Ranger premiered on ABC TV on September 15th. These weren't 1963, by the way. That first one was 1830. That was 1949. But September 15th, 1963, the big important day, a tremendous event happened on this day. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones performed in the same show for the first and only time. Okay, no, that wasn't the big one. The big one was my mom and dad, Joe Varndell and Karen Sue Whitson, were wed. I found a few things, a few marriage quotes that I'd like to share that I kind of thought fit. Marriage is like putting your hand into a bag containing 99 steaks and 1 eel. You may get the eel, but the odds are against you. Nice job, Mom and Dad, you beat the odds. A quote, I've learned there are only 2 things to keep a wife happy. Let her think she is having her own way, and then let her have it. Nice job, Dad. One more. A long marriage often includes a deaf husband. I'm just going to stop there and go on. My mom's been asking me for several weeks now, what stories are you going to tell? What stories are you going to tell? I have a story. What about this one? What about this one? And there's a lot of stories, and so many of them, she said, don't embarrass me. And the problem is that there's not very many that, I don't know, somehow embarrass her. So, some of you might know that my mom's a pretty expressive person. At times, she can even get a little excited. There are a lot of stories I've heard about her breaking things, throwing things, and maybe even shouting a few times. But I decided not to go there. Stories on my dad are a little quieter, and many times they include hiding out in a shop somewhere from the throwing things, breaking things, and shouting. But I'm not going to go there. Back in their 40th anniversary party, the story was Mom had been boss for 40 years, and now it was Dad's turn for the next 40. Dad's still waiting on that to happen. I think there's one great story that tells why, even though it may not have always been easy, they beat the odds and made it to this milestone. My grandpa and Dad had a conversation. I think it was a pretty one-sided conversation. Grandpa said something like, she's yours now, you cannot bring her back. 2 stories on them. And I really do think these are the ones that sum up 50 years of caring and love, and the reason that I know that they love each other, and the first, and why they've been able to get through such rough times. It's not always easy to see from the outside looking in how much someone cares, how much someone loves each other, especially someone that's been married a long time. They might not be all kissy-kissy anymore. But I have 2 stories that I personally saw just how much they cared, just how much they loved each other. First one was when my dad was having surgery to remove some tumors from around his brain. And any of you that know my mom knows there's not very many times when she goes without her mouth open, a lot. And we sat together for about 12 hours during that surgery, and I've never seen my mom be quieter for longer than that. Love, caring right there. She was thinking of one person and one person only. The second one, and this one is on Dad, a few years ago when my mom was flown to Lathe Medical Center with an infection the doctors couldn't figure out what it was, and her organs were shutting down. We didn't know if she was going to make it or not. And most of you that know my dad know he's a pretty calm guy, not a real emotional guy, and I've known him for a long time, and that was one of the only few times I've ever seen tears in his eyes. Love, caring, thinking about that one person. I tease my mom a lot. I like to disagree with my dad when we're working together. I like to make him think I don't think his way's the right way. But I'll tell you, they both amaze me. My mom was one of the most giving people I know. She's taken care of more kids than you can count. Helped raise up more kids than you can count. And is always ready to help someone else. Dad is quiet about it, but he supported all of that, helping take care of others. My mom is gifted. She's able to make any kind of craft. If you want to learn to sew, want to learn to knit, anything like that you can think of, she can do it. And my dad, well, let's face it, there's nothing he can't fix or build. I'm very amazed and proud of these guys, of my parents, and I think that this milestone, 50 years, is an incredible event, and I'm so proud of them. Love you, Mom and Dad. Thank you.